On today's extremely packed episode of the John Campea Show podcast, a new trailer for Ryan Gosling's film, The Fall Guys, come out. It's kind of looking like the most fun film of the year. Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire reviews are out, and they're not surprisingly not very good. X-Men 97 is launched, and it's pretty amazing so far. George Lucas has thrown his full support behind Bob Iger in the Disney battle that's going on right now. Star Wars, The Acolyte, we just found out what the runtimes of their episodes are, and they're pathetic. Jonathan Majors is going to be going to court again. Now his ex-girlfriend is suing him for assault and defamation. And Alien Romulus has dropped its first trailer, and woo, the heebie-jeebies of the original Alien is there. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at BetterHelp. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff, not just giving you our opinions, but also giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or a little bit different than ours. Joining me in studio today, we've got Ray Ora.
Hey.
Jonathan Voico's here.
Just one hey.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Very excited to be here today, John. Good stuff.
Good stuff. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. And guys, we got to dive right into it because we got a lot of stuff to cover here today. So we're going to get started with this. The upcoming Emily Blunt, Ryan Gosling new film Fall Guy is coming up quickly. And it's a film that when I heard first, I thought, oh, that's a neat idea. Do a Fall Guy, you know, a kind of a reboot, reimagining of that old television show. That could be a cute little movie. Well, then the trailers looked really good. Then the first reactions came out and they were pretty solid. I think right now, as of this moment, Fall Guy is holding an 88% critic rating. Then Steven Spielberg said he loved the film. Well, that's good. Well, now a brand new trailer for Fall Guy has dropped today. And a bunch of people are calling it the second trailer. I think it's the third trailer. Like, from my count, it's
third. It is a third trailer.
Yeah, but some people are calling it the second trailer. At any rate, man, they just keep adding to the bonkersness and funness of it. And, you know, Jonathan was saying before the show started, there's a real Nice Guys. Remember the Russell Crowe, Ryan Gosling, Shane
criminally
Black
underrated and underseen.
Criminally underseen movie. But this trailer in particular has a real Nice Guys feel to it, which is a very good thing. It is starting to feel like this could be the absolute most fun you have in a movie theater this year. Now, for all we know, they've just showed us all the best parts of the movie and the rest of the movie's not going to be very good. That could happen. But I saw this trailer. I loved it. It continues to build my excitement for this movie. And again, because of who the director is, you know, being a stuntman himself for so many years, it clearly is even more and more feeling like a love letter to the stunt community, which is kind of at the heart of the whole thing. Rob, I remember they did a big presentation on this at CinemaCon last year. We liked what we saw, but I've moved from being interested in this film to being absolutely euphoric for it. We're going to see it at CinemaCon in just a couple of weeks. But anyway, you saw the newest trailer. What did you think of it?
Well, it's Ryan Gosling's world, and we're just living in it.
Yeah.
No, this movie looks so much fun. You know, John, I think this was off both of our radars until CinemaCon last year. And when they did that presentation and came out and showed us everything, we're all like, oh my God, this looks really fun. I mean, in a way, it's a great melding of modern filmmaking ability with a sort of throwback to that 80s fun, we're at the movies vibe that I think has been missing. Now, and we've seen it in the marketing, you know, that, like you said, a Nice Guys vibe, but all the way back to stuff like that I miss, like Midnight Run, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, things like that. And I miss those kinds of movies. And this looks like that. I mean, not only is it a high concept film, not only is it star driven, and not only is it a reboot of a TV show that was, let's face it, not the greatest TV show in the world. It
Yeah,
was
not
fun.
Lee Major's crown jewel.
It was a meat and potato show, but this
great
looks
theme
like
song, though. Great theme song.
Great
I'm
theme
the
song.
unknown stuntman.
Oh, it was
yeah,
great.
I like that.
It was great. I mean, it was like the TV version of Hal Needham's Hooper, but we won't even go there. But I'm too old. But this looks great. I'm very excited for this. I can't wait to see this. I mean, has Ryan Gosling not become America's sweetheart? Not that he already wasn't, but his career, the way it's developed, how do you not love that guy?
Well, listen, like he is quietly, and I know it's weird to say that about a big A-list star like Ryan Gosling, but he has quietly started to just amass a ridiculous resume.
Yeah.
I mean, even like a lot of people forget, he was Blade Runner 2049. I mean, he's been turning in this kind of stuff, and I think you're right when you say it's just kind of his world. And seeing maybe the new James Bond in this trailer here with Aaron Taylor Johnson in there. I don't know if you saw those rumors going around.
Oh yeah. Well, that's been, I like that, by the way. I like that casting.
I was wondering if you would like that.
I do.
Now,
I'm going younger.
BBC is saying it's not true.
Right.
But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of the new Fall Guy trailer? Did you like it? Maybe you haven't been interested in the movie at all. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to this, shall we? Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now, Ghostbusters Afterlife was a damn pleasant surprise movie because I didn't know what to expect from Afterlife. And then we were at CinemaCon a couple of years ago, and you had, Jason Reitman and his, father, his legendary father, Ivan, on stage together before Ivan passed away. And they came out to talk about Jason's new movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife. And they shocked the audience when they said, and you'll see for yourself, as we're going to show you the movie right now. And they showed us the whole movie. I remember Aaron Cummings was sitting beside me, and we just loved the movie. Jason Reitman has never steered me wrong. Jason Reitman is I think maybe the most underrated director today. Like everything from Thank You for Smoking, Juno, Up in the Air, that one he did with Hugh Jackman recently was also really good. I mean, he's just a terrific director, and I loved Afterlife. Now, I got a little nervous for Frozen Empire when they announced that Jason Reitman was not going to be directing the new one. I'm like, ooh, okay, that's not a death sentence, but that's not good. And then the first trailer came out, and while a bunch of people were excited for it, the first trailer came out, I'm like, this isn't really, it seems like it's just nostalgia porn. Look, everybody, it's that thing that was in the original Ghostbusters. And look, here are the actors from the original Ghostbusters. And look, it's, all right, then the second trailer came out. I'm like, I don't know, I didn't think it was terrible, but I'm like, this isn't all that good either. And then we got to Monday and Tuesday of this week. It's like, hey guys, this movie opens up in a couple of days. No reviews yet, no reactions. This isn't a good sign. Well, here we are now, one day away from when Ghostbusters Frozen Empire hit theaters. And while the reviews are not garbage, they're not all that good either. Because as of right now, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire has 75 outlet reviews in there, and it's holding a 45%. Yeah. Which, I'll be honest with you, is a little bit better than I was expecting. Considering I don't think the trail's all been good. They've been hiding the reviews from people. You don't have Jason Reitman in there. Rob, I mean, especially coming off of Afterlife, which I adored. I had such a good time with that movie. I wanted to love this new one, and maybe I will. I won't see it until tomorrow. Ray and I will give you our out-of-theater reactions for that tomorrow when we see it. But I'll tell you, the trailers have done nothing for me. It just seemed like it's just a big nostalgia porn play than anything else, which is kind of what the Melissa McCarthy Ghostbusters tried to do, just be big nostalgia porn, which kind of threw that thing off the rails too. So I got to tell you, I'm not surprised to see the responses right now, other than the fact than to say they're actually even a little bit higher than I was expecting. I don't know. You see the responses getting so far. You surprised, not surprised? Where's your expectation level for the film right now?
This is going to be unpopular, John, but I think Ghostbusters was a one-movie franchise. And I did like Afterlife. I thought it was charming. I thought it was a lot better than it. To me, it kind of reminded me of something like Rocky Balboa. I liked them. I'm like, you're going to make another Rocky movie? And it had a lot of heart. It was very interesting. I liked the different setting. I liked the addition of Paul Rudd. I liked the movie. I thought it was good. They should have left it there. Because, you know, the Ghostbusters franchise, it seems to be when they're mining these IPs again and again and again, and you're dealing with 40 years, we're seeing a lot of this. Top Gun Maverick, I think, started this trend. We're getting a Beverly Hills Cop AF, Axel Foley movie, 40 years after the original. Both Ghostbusters and Beverly Hills Cop are celebrating their 40th anniversaries this year.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And now I understand why, okay, let's put one out. But, I mean, unless you've got a story that supports it, and like you said, even when I watch a trailer, I'm like, what's the story, the new story? What are we getting that's new? You know, tell us something, because the Ghostbusters idea should be able to endure through generations, and you don't need to show us something that was 40 years ago. The premise is funny alone, and you can reinvent it for every new generation. And this, I don't know. I mean, it looked like they were trying almost too hard.
And with the title, like the last thing they want is for someone to think about what kind of Slurpee are they going to release at AMC? What special edition Slurpee are they going to release? And not the actual trailer. The trailers for me haven't done anything for me.
Yeah,
and it actually has gotten me not interested in the movie. So,
well, you're in luck because you're seeing it tomorrow.
I know. We'll see. Hopefully,
I mean, I adored Afterlife.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with Afterlife, but you know, the late great John Schnepp was actually working with Sony. He was actually in talks with Sony.
Yes, he was.
To do a Ghostbusters series.
And it was really good.
The idea was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic idea. So
if this one bombs, Sony's getting off to a rough start this year with Madam Web and this movie.
well, what else have they had though? They had, but yeah.
Well, I mean, these are their bigger.
Is Fall
movies.
Guy theirs?
No, I think
no,
that's,
I don't think that's a song. I think Fall Guy's Universal. I could be wrong about that.
It is Universal.
It is Universal. I mean, I think the first mistake was not just doing whatever you needed to do to make sure Jason Reitman was directing it. Because I remember going back a couple years now, as soon as we heard, okay, they're doing the next Ghostbusters, yes, but Jason Reitman won't be directing it. Oh no. Like that was not a good sign. And again, I haven't seen it myself yet. Maybe I'll really enjoy it.
You know,
But
it's a tonal issue. The first Ghostbusters, what made it so interesting was the film combined, like, aside from Bill Murray, the characters of like Spangler and Egon totally believed in themselves, and their seriousness was funny. And the tone that movie walked, the tightrope, is a difficult tone to maintain. And that's what I think Ghostbusters 2 for me was too goofy. It didn't have enough of that deadpan humor. It's true. This man has no dick. I mean, I missed that stuff.
that was such a great line.
I know.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Are you planning on going to see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? Maybe a lot of you are, because like me, you really liked Afterlife. Maybe like me, the trailers have turned you off and you're not interested. Are you surprised by the reaction so far? Whatever you guys think, jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The much talked about, and as far as John Campea is concerned, kind of maligned, X-Men 97 has come out and dropped. Now, look, I loved the original X-Men animated series. Totally loved it. I had a ball with it. I thought it was fun. I think about it all the time. One of the greatest theme musics ever, because I still think of like that still goes through my head all the time. Like even just when I'm walking into an ice cream shop, I hear my theme music. Like, yeah, cookies and cream, hit me up. So I honestly, when they said they were going to do X-Men 97, I admit, I'm like, why? It seemed like a dumb idea. I'll be honest with you. It sounds like kind of a dumb idea. Even though I love the original and I was open to it and everything, I'll be honest with you. My expectation level had not been high, all that kind of stuff. Now, we heard some great first reactions, so that was good. That got me a little bit enthused, maybe. Well, the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97 have dropped. And this is one of those wonderful situations where there was a movie or show coming out that I had not a ton of belief in, where I have completely fallen in love with it. Now, granted, it's just 2 episodes. And if anything, Disney Plus has told us that don't buy into the hype of the first episode or 2, because a Disney Plus show can go south real fast. That being said, the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97, as a fan of the original animated series, is freaking wonderful. It literally feels like I just watched the last episode a few months ago, because it just picks right up. The tone is the same. Obviously, much has been talked about. The animation style is still the same. Many of the original voice actors, and there's one character in particular where maybe that didn't work. We'll talk about that in a second. The themes of the show, it's just, the action actually is even better than it was in the original series. Like the first episode you've seen glimpses of it in the trailers. The first episode has a great action sequence where the X-Men are fighting like a gang of Sentinels. And it's just like, yes, this is what I remember. And oh my God, Storm is given her due. Storm is given her due in a great way. One of my all-time favorite. I'm not going to say what it is for those of you who haven't heard or haven't seen the episodes yet. For those of you who have, you might know what I'm talking about. They pick up on a story theme that is a central theme of my all-time favorite comic book story. Now, my all-time favorite comic book story is X-Men Age of Apocalypse. That's my all-time overall story arc. And there's something in that they have brought into X-Men 97, and I'm all for it, because Magneto is my all-time favorite comic book character. All-time favorite comic book character. And they brought a theme from there over here, which has made me very, very excited. Logan's hilarious. The themes are all the same. The tone is the same. They're just continuing it on. And dare I say, it feels like they're even improving upon it. So I admit, I have not been on the bandwagon for X-Men 97, but it won me over.
I mean,
you saw the 2 episodes, right?
I feel very fortunate that this has come out, because like when I was a kid watching the previous show, none of the themes hit me. As I was a kid, I just wanted to see claws.
Younger, yeah.
Claws and cards. That's all my Saturday morning was.
That's the name of a Gambit Wolverine crossover right there.
Yeah.
Cards and claws.
But now, like this one, actually, I was sitting here and I was like, there's some speeches in it, that like kind of like hit the wrong way. I mean, it's been so long. Right. Look how much our society has changed. Some of these themes are more prevalent now than ever before. So, I mean, I'm kind of glad this has come out. Take all the politics out. It's a good cartoon for me.
It's a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to mention the one thing, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just as a audience member, the one thing that kind of didn't work. To their benefit, and one of the things that got a lot of people very excited is that they brought a lot of the original voice cast back. And I believe that includes the voice performer for Rogue.
Yeah.
Rogue sounds like she's 60 now. It's clearly the same person doing it, but Rogue does not sound like the 23-year-old, Southern Belle anymore. Like she said, there are moments she does, but there's a lot of dialogue too where she sounds like my angry aunt who has maybe smoked too much for 30 years. And it's like that kind of pulled me out of it a little bit, because Wolverine sounds exactly the same. Storm sounds exactly the same. Scott sounds exactly the same.
By the way, with Storm, I love the way she's looked upon in this new series. Like
they give her due.
She's like godlike now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally give her due. So, I mean, but other than that, I think they are off to an absolutely killer start. They're off to a great, great start. And they're saying Scott is the new voice actor. Well, he sounds exactly to me like the way I remember him sounding in X-Men, the original animated series.
What do you think of Magneto's look in this, since you're a big Magneto fan?
You know what? When I first saw the promo pictures, didn't like it.
Yeah, me too.
Didn't like it.
It makes sense now.
But by the end of the second episode, I'm like, okay, I didn't like it when I first saw the images. Now I'm on board with it. It's working for me now. It's there. And Rob, I didn't tell you, haven't seen the 2 episodes.
No,
I can't wait to tell you what element it is that I'm so excited that they have brought over. Again, I'm not going to say just in case.
Does it have to do with a certain character of a certain color?
No.
Okay.
Well, every character is a certain color.
Well, there's a very specific. There's one character who's specifically in the Age of Apocalypse very different than their counterpart.
Oh, no. Okay.
But
I know what you're talking about. No,
Yeah.
this is more of a storyline That was in the original.
Okay.
That and it's creating some drama, which I'm very excited about.
Okay, good.
Anyway, Rob, I have not been on the bandwagon for this one. Where's your expectation? Were you excited to hear about X-Men 97? Like, have you been looking forward to it?
Dude, I'm a huge X-Men fan. Huge X-Men fan. And of course, the trial of Magneto is X-Men 200, when he's shackled on the cover. And then, of course, he took over the New Mutants for a while. I'm a huge fan of this entire franchise. I have way too many. If you looked at, of all the omnibuses that I own, the big Marvel hardcovers, I literally own thousands of dollars worth of Marvel X-Men omnibuses because they're very expensive. It's ridiculous. But I can't wait to see this. I forgot it dropped last night. Otherwise, I would have watched it before I came on the show. I love the original animated series, and I am deliriously excited for this. I can't wait to see it. Other than that, I mean, you know, I would love them to do the Age of Apocalypse storyline.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's why when they announced the X-Men Apocalypse, I thought, are they going to actually do like Age of Apocalypse? And boy, they dropped the ball on that movie. I did not like X-Men Apocalypse at all. But I mean, you know what? The thing is, Age of Apocalypse, for anybody who does know the comic book story, it kind of presents the same problems that doing in a DC realm, a Kingdom Come movie presents itself, right?
Yeah.
A Kingdom Come is something that the audience is going to have deep understanding of the lore and the history. And like Kingdom Come is something you would literally have to build up to for a long time. And Age of Apocalypse is kind of the same way. It's like you either need to have an audience that is well versed in deep X-Men history and lore, or it's something you got to build up to for 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Or do a two-part Infinity War and Endgame movie after
kind
the
of thing,
X-Men
yeah.
have been
But it
around
takes
for a
so
while.
much understanding of the pre-existing conditions
Yeah.
of those universes, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
X-Men 97, off to a great start so far. Much better than I was expecting. Guys, have you guys had a chance to see the episodes yet? If so, what did you think of them? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get on with this here, shall we? For those of you who may not know, there's a civil war going on at Disney right now for control of the company. Of course, on one side, you have the board and Bob Iger. On the other side, you have activist investor Nelson Peltz and his Lieutenant General Ike Perlmutter. And if that name sounds familiar to you, it should. We'll talk about that in a second. Are basically trying to wrestle control of the company away from the board and establish their own board and get new leadership in at Disney. Now, as a result, people are picking sides. Most of the high-profile people lately, including the family of Walt Disney, have been throwing their support behind Bob Iger. Well, today, a major shareholder with a lot of stock and a lot of votes just put his full considerable celebrity, weight, and votes behind Bob Iger, and that's George Lucas. The Star Wars creator himself, who worked with Bob Iger to negotiate the deal to sell Lucasfilm to Disney, has come out and publicly endorsed Bob Iger. And this is interesting. I want to read this at length a little bit. This comes to us from IndieWire, who write the following. George Lucas just sent the stormtroopers after Nelson Peltz. Or if Peltz is Darth Vader, in his standoff with Disney, Lucas sent the Jedis. The Star Wars creator backed Disney CEO Bob Iger in his ongoing and going proxy fight with activist investor Peltz. In an important shareholder vote regarding the company's board members is around the corner, and we now know which way Lucas is voting. George Lucas said the following. Creating magic is not for amateurs, Lucas said in a statement shared with IndieWire. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder, because remember, a lot of that came in the form of Disney stock. To become a Disney shareholder because of my long-term admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership. When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob Iger's track record of driving long-term value. I have voted all of my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same. Now, we talked a few weeks ago when the Walt Disney, surviving members of the Walt Disney family all came out and said that they all support Bob Iger, including one of Walt's daughters, I believe, who is actually very critical of Bob Iger for on a number of issues, but overall supports him and his leadership and stuff like that. And I kind of said that's going to be very influential for all the Disney shareholders as they get ready to vote. The fact that Walt's own family is backing Bob Iger. I think George Lucas is another one of those influential figures, not only as a major shareholder in the company, but he's George Lucas. And I think George Lucas's, his words here, his votes are going to pull a lot. I think this is probably going to go Bob Iger's way in this vote. You never know. You never know. These things can be messy. And the reason the article said Peltz is ongoing and going and going, says Peltz has been a pain in the side of Bob Iger and the Disney board for a very, very long time. Now, we've mentioned Ike Perlmutter. And if you heard that, like Nelson Peltz's right-hand guy here, the reason you remember that name is because he used to be Kevin Feige's boss. He used to be the head of all the Disney stuff. And for many years, while the MCU was going on, Ike Perlmutter was Kevin Feige's boss and the biggest pain in the ass to Kevin Feige. As a matter of fact, Kevin Feige was ready to leave the company. He was so fed up trying to work with Ike Perlmutter and everything that he had done that Bob Iger stepped in and said, okay, here's what we're doing. New leadership structure. Kevin Feige, you no longer report to Ike Perlmutter. You report directly to the head of all Disney Pictures, Alan Horn. And Alan Horn reports to me. That's it. Took Ike Perlmutter out of the thing. Did not sit well with old Ike. Did not sit well with Ike Perlmutter when that happened. But that's what they did there. And those sides are now going to war. Anyway, Rob, you've been following. I know this type of stuff is always interesting to you. You've been following what's going on at the Disney level. How surprised, not surprised, and how significant is it that George Lucas at this point comes out and is making statements like this? And how do you think this is ultimately going to go?
Well, people forget that George Lucas and Lucasfilm had a much longer relationship other than when Bob Iger bought Lucasfilm.
Oh, yeah, even well before
that.
we're
going back to the early 80s with Star Tours, the Indiana Jones ride, Captain EO. So
even the formation of Pixar.
The formation of Pixar, all that stuff. So Lucas's ties with Disney go back decades. So it's not surprising. And look, Nelson Peltz and Perlmutter, these guys are not creatives. They see Disney as a business opportunity. They're the Gordon Geckos here. And George Lucas is interested in preserving, for everybody who yells and screams and bitches and moans and complains about Star Wars and all that, you have to remember that Lucas is first and foremost a creative. And he appreciates the very long-standing. I mean, Disney is approaching. It's going to be. Obviously, Steamboat Willie is in the public domain now, but Disney, we're talking. It's celebrated its 100th anniversary last year. It's one of our most significant entertainment concerns, and I can see Lucas wants to protect that. And like you said, storytelling is not for amateurs. Disney is going through a really, really rough patch for a number of reasons. The pandemic is only one of them. And I would like to see the company come through without being destroyed. I had a really good experience working with them for the most part in the aughts in their home video department. And I've always loved Disney. I think that they've got a lot to answer for lately. But I don't want to see some proxy fight turn into people like Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter getting control. That's why Feige and Ike Perlmutter bumped heads, because Perlmutter was not exactly the creative genius that Kevin Feige wanted to be working with. And I don't think this does the company any good. So I think they're going to win.
One could hope. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? George Lucas has come out and very publicly supported Bob Iger. Do you think that's going to have a major influence in what other shareholders do? How do you see this whole thing going? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Ever since they had that Disney investor call, there hasn't been anything coming up on the Star Wars docket that I've been more excited about than the Acolyte. The whole idea of looking at, a Star Wars story from that point of view, as maybe Obi-Wan would say. I've been super stoked for it. Then they announced that Leslie Headland, the showrunner of Russian Dolls, was going to be the one running it, which was like, fabulous. She's incredible. This is going to be really good. And I've been excited. Then that poster dropped. Poster of a lightsaber with a being dragged across the ground with a blood smear falling behind him. Like, okay, this is looking like what I want to see. And then the trailer dropped. And I don't think the trailer, let's be clear. I mentioned this several times yesterday, and some people didn't get the message. I'm not saying I hated the trailer. I'm not even saying I straight up disliked the trailer. I'm simply saying the trailer did nothing to move the needle for me. Instead of looking like awesome and cinematic in scope, like, say, Shogun does or House of the Dragon or something like that, it kind of looked like, yeah, a Disney Plus TV show. That's kind of what it looked like. Again, just a first trailer. I've been not impressed by first trailers and fallen in love with other things later, so I'm not going to read too much into it. What does concern me, though, is the continuation of a horrible Disney Plus pattern that they just do not seem to learn from. You see, other streaming platforms, when they have their premium series, Shogun, Last of Us, House of the Dragon, I go on and on and on and on. Those series, when you come to an episode, you're in for a good 45, 55, 65, 70-minute long episodes. Because they've got story to tell. They've got story to tell, dimensions to fill out, depth to dig, and all that kind of stuff. And they know if you're going to have appointment television, things that you set your weekly clock by, that I count down to Wednesday nights or Friday nights or Sunday nights, that kind of happens when you're going to get more than a 25-minute, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then off you go with the shake weight, giving you a refreshing spray. Like that's not what we're looking for when we're making appointment television. And it's difficult for, especially for dramatic stuff, to be really good and satisfying when it's that short. If you can do it, awesome. But it's difficult to, because it feels like just when the show gets going, the credits roll. Like, as you just feel like you're getting into an episode, boom, the credits roll. Again, not saying it can't be great at 35 minutes, but it's more difficult to be great at 35 minutes. And again, historically, there have been examples when it does work. It's just more difficult. Well, not long after I said, okay, the trailer didn't thrill me, but I'm really expecting, what I want to find out is how long the episode's going to be. I swear to God, 5 minutes after I asked my wife that question, I'm wondering how long the episodes are going to be. An article dropped with an interview with Leslie Headland, who talked about the length of the episodes, and it's, again, worrying to me. This comes to us from MovieWeb, who's quoting the showrunner, Leslie Headland, when asked about how long are the episodes going to be in this 8-episode series. About 30 minutes. Yeah. I would say some of them are a little bit longer, like the finale, I think, is 40 minutes.
I think.
But there are also some that I think are barely 30 minutes. Ooh. On average, I would say somewhere between 30 and 35 minutes. What the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing?
Why aren't they a movie? If you're going to make it 30 with the credits that are 7 minutes long.
I mean, this was the exact same thing that came up when Obi-Wan happened, right? Now, remember, there was a couple people did it, and I feel bad that I can't remember the name of the person that did it, but somebody took the Obi-Wan series, edited it, cut it down a bit, and put it together as a movie. And I'm not going to say it was one of the best Star Wars movies ever, but it was a really good, enjoyable, one-shot movie the way they edited it. And again, I'm sitting here. Every other streamer seems to understand this, right? You don't turn on an episode of The Crown and it's 28 minutes before credits.
With 4 minutes of credits.
Yeah, but you don't turn on Shogun and it's 30 minutes before credits. They understand that if you're going to build tension and drama for every time you sit down and start an episode, it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. And Disney Plus has seen that this doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can make an exception. I would say an exception for Disney Plus would probably be Percy Jackson, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
I thought Percy Jackson, now it wasn't 30-minute episodes. It was a little bit longer than that, but still, I thought Percy Jackson was great. There was an example of it worked, but there have been more examples of it not working than of it working. And I just, if you don't have a story that's full enough to necessitate a television series? Like Rob, you were just saying, if you don't have that story, but you have enough story to make a movie, then make a movie. Even if you just want to make it for Disney Plus, make a movie. It's just, again, as a viewer, and this, I'm only speaking for myself and my own viewing habits, okay? I'm not speaking for anybody else. But for me, it's difficult to make any show calendar marked television, appointment watching TV, when I know that by the time I get cozy in my couch and reach back to get my Zevia Cola, there's 5 minutes left in the episode. It's just difficult for me to get in that. And I don't know why Disney has not learned their lesson at this point. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this. Big deal, no deal. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to how good are the episodes. I mean, that's ultimately is what it comes down to. I just think they give themselves a much more difficult task in making the episodes good by having them this short. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Well, look, I feel that, your show, what your show is, should dictate. I've never understood how they make these Disney Star Wars shows, really, because they don't seem like they're designed as full episodes of television. Because television, there's a model to write TV. Like Star Trek The Next Generation was a teaser and 5 acts. So you had a structure that you knew was going to leave you with a 45-minute show at the end of the day. Every episode, you add commercials to it, it fills out an hour-long chunk of change. The original Star Trek was 52 minutes because there's less commercials. But you'd think that they would design these shows and write them to a formula. It seems to me a lot of the time these shows are kind of written willy-nilly. They're almost like written as a movie, and then they break them up later. So I always feel like with these Disney Star Wars shows, with the exception of Andor, which felt like they were writing full episodes, that we're seeing something that's half-baked. And I feel like in the case with Obi-Wan and the case with our editor, like you talked about, that put that show together, he more successfully conveyed what that show was about
100%.
than the episodes
100%.
themselves did.
Yes.
And when you're seeing that, I wonder from the analytics standpoint, I know they want to get people coming back again and again, week after week after week, so they can show those analytics. But I wonder if they wouldn't get more views overall if they made if I could watch a 2.5-hour movie, I'd much rather watch a 2.5-hour movie than 6 shows that are 30 minutes long. I'd much rather do that. And because it would be much more satisfying to me. And watching a show, those Disney shows that are that short are supremely unsatisfying. You get to the end of the episode and you're like, wait, it felt like they take you, it's like being on a roller coaster where you never get to go down the hill until the climax. And then even then, it's not that big of a hill.
I mean, you think they'd learned, to your point, look at the viewership stats on Ahsoka, right? Like after a couple of episodes, week after week, the viewership dropped to where it was less than half. By the time they got to the finale, it was less than half of the viewers that turned in for the original. It's like, this is not how you make... People will often say they only care about money, right? To which my response to that has always been, good. I hope that all they care about is money, because if you truly care about money and you're smart, then you know the better you make something, the more money you stand to make. Yeah, you could probably make a quick buck with something garbage, but you stand to make an MCU fortune if you actually put love, affection, time, and care into making something the right way. Them just churning out these ideas of these quick little shows, and it's like, who cares? Our audience are sheep, so they're just going to eat up whatever corn feed we throw on the ground. If they think longer term, look, Transformers made a bunch of money for the first couple of films, and then their box office dived, and now they can't even even when you put out great movies like Bumblebee and half decent movies like Beast Wars, they can't make any money because they already drove the IP into the ground. If they had made those Transformers movies consistently good, they would still be making Transformers movies at the $1 billion mark today, like the MCU did for 12 years.
Yep.
And I just wish they would learn this lesson. It's like, you're right, Rob, because it feels like they just kind of throw these things together.
Well, John, television itself as a medium also has an expectation when you watch an individual episode, even if it's a serialized story, that the individual episode itself has a satisfying beginning, middle, and an end. That's the model of television. And the problem with these really short episodes is you feel when you're watching them, you're getting half a story. You're never getting a fulfilling TV show episode. It's never fulfilling. It's always like, oh, it's over now. It feels like, okay, and when you do get to a reasonable ending, it feels like it was so short that you never got to really dig in and enjoy it.
You are so on the money because you watch an episode of Shogun. Every episode has a beginning, middle, and end. And while the story of Shogun isn't complete, there's
100%.
always mini stories in these things that take you on this journey. This last week's episode is a terrific example of that, right? And you just can't. I'm not saying you can't do that with 30 to 35 minute episodes. I just haven't seen Disney Plus do it yet.
No, and it's I think they don't understand it's harming their audience because the audience is being unfulfilled twice. You're getting unfulfilling TV episodes, and then when you see somebody cut it together that isn't part of the team and they make the episodes into a movie that's better than what you watched on TV, that's problematic.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The showrunner for the upcoming Star Wars The Acolyte has kind of confirmed that some are barely 30 minutes and maybe the finale gets up to 40. She thinks. I look, who knows? Maybe this will turn out to be the best Star. Maybe this will be Andor level. Maybe it will. We haven't seen the episodes yet. We can't say it won't be, but I'm just saying, commenting on what we've seen so far, I'm kind of disappointed to see what we're seeing. Maybe it'll turn out awesome. Maybe it won't. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The Jonathan Majors drama unfortunately continues. And of course, Jonathan Majors, who is a remarkable actor, absolutely phenomenal actor. I love seeing him on screen. But his skyrocketing career quickly came crashing down, of course, last year when charges got filed against him. The court case then happened. He was found guilty on 2 of the lesser charges and acquitted on a couple of the more major charges. And we all thought, at least I did, that, okay, yeah, he's going to take some lumps right now. And he did. He lost out on Kang. He lost out on a couple of contracts, lost out on a couple of projects. But I believe because he was kind of acquitted on the more major crimes that he was charged with, that eventually he'll be able to get everything going again. Well, that might be sidelined a bit. Because according to now reports, his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, who was the principal involved with the criminal case, is now taking him to court personally for assault and defamation. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety. I'm going to read this a couple of the paragraphs here because I think this is important stuff. Variety writes the following. During one incident in Los Angeles in 2022, Jabari's lawsuit alleges that Majors became angry with Grace. She became afraid and instinctively tried to calm him down. Majors began shouting in Grace's face and grabbed both her arms, pinning them to her body. He then shoved her into the shower door, causing the door to swing open. He then threw her body into the shower wall, causing her head to hit the wall. When Grace tried to escape, things escalated. In an effort to stop the abuse, Grace informed Majors that she was going to have to inform his team of what he had done to her, at which point Majors began throwing candles and other objects in a frenzied state, denting the walls and leaving glass shattered on the floor. During another incident in London of 2022, the lawsuit claims Majors pushed Grace so hard that it bruised her backside. When Grace got up, she attempted to leave the house. Majors picked up Grace in the air and threw her against the hood of the car. Grace began shouting for help. Majors then forcibly grabbed Grace, placing her in a headlock, and put his hand over her mouth to prevent someone from hearing her cries for help. He brought Grace back to their house, and he held his hands around her neck, stating that he wanted to kill her and that he was going to kill her. Majors then started hitting Grace's head against the marble floor while strangling her until she felt she could no longer breathe. The lawsuit also includes text messages between the couple in which Majors dissuaded Jabari from seeking medical help and threatened to kill himself. Parts of these texts were used in the December of 2023 trial, though they were only allowed as background information and not evidence related to the March 2023 altercation. Now, it goes on to talk about how after following another incident, she did follow through on what she said she was going to do and contacted his representation, contacted his team. He then found out about it. The allegations say he then got abusive again when he was outraged when she did inform his team about what was going on and all that kind of stuff. Now, 2 very important things that we need to keep in mind when reading these reports. Number 1 is, and this is probably most important, these are allegations. These are not proven facts. This has not been vetted by a court or a trial or a jury. By any case, these are reports, alleged in the complaint. Okay. So we should not necessarily, we don't dismiss them, but we don't assume there are facts at this point either. These are allegations. We got to keep that in mind. The second important thing to keep in mind is that there are parts of this that are, like it said in the story, that do relate back to the criminal case that happened, like things like text messages and things like that. We all read some rather disturbing things that Jonathan Majors had texted to her before and stuff like that. And whatever. That does not mean we should assume guilt, though. Let's keep that in mind. I normally don't care about the criminal life lawsuits and stuff like that about any of the celebrities, except for when it comes to, does this materially alter the course of what movies we may or may not see? Jonathan Majors, I have no hesitation in saying, is one of my favorite on-screen performers. The dude has talent oozing out of his pores. He's so good and he's so believable and has such a presence on screen that even when he's in something not so good, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, he makes his scenes memorable, even if Ant-Man's punching him in the face. And I have felt since the criminal trial got finished that at some point, maybe a couple months, maybe a year or two, maybe even 3 years, but at some point he would be able to come back because he wasn't found guilty of the more major crimes. I say all that just to set this up. If this does go to trial and he loses this, I think he's done. Like, I think he can come back from the December trial. I think he can come back from that, again, because he was only found guilty on the more minor things. And I did an entire video really laying out what was it exactly he was found guilty of and what was he found not guilty of. And because of that, I thought he'll take his hits, but eventually he can come back. If he loses this, and I'm not suggesting he will lose, okay? I'm not suggesting he will. I don't think he comes back from this. I don't think anybody touches him with a 100-foot pole if he does. If he wins this, then I think his comeback can still be off in the future and still happen. Anyway, Rob, you saw the report come out in Variety, and the Hollywood Reporter did a piece on it as well. How vital is this to Jonathan Majors right now?
Well, like you, I mean, I really, really love Jonathan Majors as a performer. And, you know, people's personal lives are very complicated, especially when they're in the public eye. And I've always said to people, you can never know what's going on in a person's relationship unless you're in that relationship, and you're not, so you don't actually know everything. These are very disturbing allegations, and you know, I don't have much to say about another person's personal life when I don't know anything about it, but it is unfortunate, and it's such a bummer to see such a great creative presence. Somebody that I admired, somebody that I looked up to, somebody that I really, really loved, and their performances. They never gave anything but 100%. And it's sad to see what might be a great creative life curtailed early. But, you know, part of leading a good life is you have to be a good person on and off the screen. And it's unfortunate. I hope that justice prevails, and that everybody is satisfied at the end, and that maybe we could see Jonathan Majors come back someday and give us more of his tremendous talent. But if such is the case, like you said, if these allegations are proven and there's some kind of a trial, a criminal trial or something, I don't think he comes back from it either. Because who's going to hire him? How you get somebody insured?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing right now. And again, we make no claims here about whether we think he is completely should be exonerated of this or if he should be held accountable. That's not our concern here. Our concern here is just simply telling you guys this is what's happening. And if it goes one way, I think his career can continue. If it goes another way, I don't know that it can. Anyway, guys, whatever you think about this whole thing, go ahead and jump down to the comments and let us know what you guys think. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to our last topic here today, shall we?
Woo-hoo.
You know, talking about upcoming projects that I don't really care much about, Alien Romulus has got to be one of those. Aliens, I'm sorry, it to me is a franchise that has just been run into the ground. And I just have not really, I mean, I love Alien, I love Aliens, you know, but when's the last time they've done Aliens justice? Like
Aliens.
it's, what's that?
Aliens.
Aliens. Aliens is the last time that Aliens was done justice. I mean, truly done justice. Not that I didn't get a kick out of some of the Predator versus Alien stuff. Of course, I got a little bit of kick out of some of that. But I mean, really. And so when I found out they were going back to the well again, even with a director like Fede Alvarez, who's amazing, I've had very little interest. Well, the first trailer dropped today. I can't even call it a trailer. Really, it should just be called a teaser. It's about 1 minute long. And they gave no story, like most first teasers and first trailers don't do. Totally fine. But I'll tell you what this trailer did. It gave me the feels. And what did it feel like? It felt like I was watching the first Alien all over again. The tension, the tone, the dread, the horror, the fear, all of it wrapped into where a single word, run, can come on, and it sends chills. That's right. Look, I have no idea if this movie's going to be great or garbage. I don't know. But this is the power of a trailer, Rob. This one trailer has taken me from, they're doing another Alien too. Oh my God, I want to see this Alien film. Again, for all I know, it's going to be nonsense. It's going to have some stupid plot. For all I know, I just don't know. But what they delivered, that first trailer is just supposed to give you a taste, right? Just give you a taste, give you a sense of the texture, if you will. Dude, I felt in 1 minute like I was sitting in a movie theater and getting awash in all those experiences and emotions that Fede was trying to communicate through this trailer. And I felt like it all. And all of a sudden now I'm sitting here going, I cannot wait to watch Alien Romulus. Now you have been looking a little bit more forward to this movie than I have. Yeah. So you had a few more expectations than me. As somebody who had a higher expectation than I did, how did this trailer hit you?
Dude, I got to say, Fede Alvarez brought back The Evil Dead. Love that. I thought Don't Breathe was a banger. Looking at this, I mean, he was somebody I believed in. And I'll tell you something. There's something interesting going on at 20th Century Studios now. The president of the studio, despite the fact that somebody was put above him from Searchlight, Steve Asbell, I call him the quiet king of franchises. He oversaw Prey, the Predator movie. He oversaw the Hellraiser reboot. Those are both on Hulu. He has done...
By the way, that Hellraiser reboot, not nearly as celebrated as Prey, but it was not bad.
Not bad. See, this is the thing. He's got the first Omen coming out.
Yeah, you really like the trailer for that.
That was edited by Bob Murawski, who is Sam Raimi's editor, and it went back to the ratings board multiple times because it was getting like an X.
Right.
Oh, yeah. He's got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes coming out, which is made for $30 million less than the last Planet of the Apes movie. And he's got Alien Romulus coming out. Now, if you look back at 20th Century Fox's history, in 1986, they had 3 movies coming out in one summer. They had The Fly, they had Aliens, and they had Big Trouble in Little China coming out. So with First Omen, and if you really want, he was there at Fox when they made both Deadpool movies as well. So even though Deadpool versus Wolverine is a Marvel movie, I know, but it's got Steve Asbell, you know, he was part of that team. He knows everybody. So there's 4 movies coming out that were Fox sort of progeny, and people are not talking about this, but they all kind of look like bangers. And this was the one I'm like, I even kind of know Steve a little bit. I'm like, dude, don't F this up. he even wrote, I texted him this morning after the trailer. I go, yo, man, this was a banger. He goes, but you better not have effed it up. He goes, well, I don't know if I have, but you'll have to tell me. And I'm like, I thought this trailer looked great. You know what's great about this? Like with Prometheus, which took place before Alien, all the technology looked like it was way more advanced. And I understand the Nostromo was like a big truck in space. I love the fact that the design of this movie harks back to the original Alien. The shape, the corridors are right out of the Nostromo. Yep. The shape of things look Alien-esque. So Fede Alvarez, and they made the same choice with Blade Runner 2049 when Denis Villeneuve said, okay, our future, the Blade Runner future is not our future. They don't have they don't have cell phones, the kind of technology that we do. We have to stick with that future that we saw in 82. Alien was established in 79, and they're going back to the way it looked. And I'm like, that was really smart, because when you see this trailer, that opening pan down shot of the corridor,
oh yeah,
nothing looks like Alien except that's Alien. You know right away.
Yeah, even like I was gonna say the little computer like panel
Totally.
Like where you would like
it all looked like, and you're sitting there going, okay. And I'll tell you something. The one place that did do right by the Alien franchise, like it did right by the Predator franchise and the Star Wars franchise, was Dark Horse Comics in the 90s. They put out some incredible Alien stories. They did an Alien versus Predator story first that they should have adapted. But that's just me.
But Fede also said that with this Alien, he wanted to strip it down and take it right back to the original bones of what made the franchise what it was. And I'll tell you, this 1 minute teaser seems to deliver on that promise.
Dude, the point of view, the face hugger leaping across the room, because you realize this is terrifying. And you know what the thing about Alien is? We should never explain it. We should not know where the space jockey came from in that first Alien movie. That's the whole great thing about Alien. It's Lovecraftian cosmic horror. It should be always unknowable. So when they show up, they're like Ebola. It's hemorrhagic fever. We don't even know where it comes from. It's just horrifying. We don't want it. And that's what keeps it scary.
That's one of the great things about the first two Alien film, because the second film, Aliens, to me, my all-time favorite action film is still Arnold Schwarzenegger's True Lies. But Aliens,
dude,
has got to be in the top 2 or 3 of one of the greatest action films of all time, right? That's Aliens. A lot of people forget that the first Alien is one of the greatest horror films of all time. It is not it's sci-fi, yes, but it's not a sci-fi film. Primarily, the ID badge on Alien, it's a horror film.
Haunted House
one of
in
the
Space.
Greatest ever.
Yeah, and peak verisimilitude.
Yeah, totally good. And again, we're getting really worked up over a 1 minute teaser.
I know, but you know what? It comes out in August, and usually by August, you're like, the doldrums of summer. This is something I'm really can't wait to see in August. Bring it on.
I'll tell you what, if Fede can nail the tone of the whole movie the way he's nailed the tone in just this little teaser, we're in for a treat.
Bruh.
So anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of the Alien Romulus trailer? I absolutely loved this teaser. Have you been looking forward to it? Maybe you haven't at all, like me, and now you are. I don't know. Whatever you think, jump down to the comments below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're now going to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, the folks doing great work over at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Guys, it's a brand new year, and a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions, things they want to change about themselves. But I've always believed that it's also equally as important to identify the things we're doing well and building on those. And therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. I've always believed that nothing impacts our daily performance in our jobs, our hobbies, our relationships like our mental health. And I've also said for a long time that it's about time that we stop just putting emphasis on improving our physical health by getting out to the gym, but also by putting emphasis on improving our mental health as well. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you gotta do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So guys, celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over and start taking your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Starting with CM Waters, film enthusiast. Yesterday's episode of Shogun was groundbreaking.
Yeah. But I will say this. Rob, I said this on the show yesterday. You weren't here. Without giving anything away about the episode, this is the genius, the brilliance, the creative craftsmanship of this show. In this show about swords and samurais, there's like a 20-minute long scene where it's just a couple of people kneeling down around a dinner table, talking, eating, and drinking. And I can't remember the last time I was as riveted to my screen.
House of Dragon. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, they've had stuff like that. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the scene in one of my favorite movies of the past 30 years, King's Speech, where you would have Jeffrey Rush and, who was it that played the king in that again?
Sorry.
Why am I freezing? He won Best Actor.
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth.
Firth.
So you had Rush and Firth sitting in a room with two chairs talking to each other, and I'm like, this is filmmaking. Like I was being riveted. So you can have a show. This show's Shogun, where you have the Canon scene, and then you have the scene of just nighttime, quiet dinner, people talking for like 15, 20 minutes, and it's just the tension and like all that kind of stuff. And even like later on, he's like kneeling, the husband's like kneeling in the street saying, I have disrupted the peace of your household. And like, he like offering his life to the guy. You should kill me because I upset the peace of your household. I'm like, oh my God, this show, because you want to hate this asshole, but at the same time, he's brave and he's noble and he's, anyway, whatever. It's just such good, good television. This is like one of the best things I've seen in TV in so long. All right, what's next?
All right, coming in with a $500
Oh,
super chat from
my
the Batman.
God. The what?
From the Batman,
That's got to be a typo.
That's no typo.
Dude, thank you so much for supporting our show. I believe he's done something like this before.
Yeah, in the past. We haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for supporting us on that level. That not just myself and everybody in here, but all of our viewers as well. Thank you for supporting the show that everybody is watching on that level, dude. That's incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much for that, man. What does the Batman have to say?
Greatest of sci-fi horror to me, and also just fantastic masterpiece movies in general, are Predator, Aliens. Sadly, the films after didn't live up to the OGs, but was impressed with Prey getting back to its roots. Getting that feeling with Romulus. Nice to see these two franchises make comebacks. Extra points for the early pulse rifle at the end.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Listen, it's funny you mentioned that because we were just saying like Alien is like one of the greatest horror films of all time. I remember when Shane Black's Predator was coming. And I was so, because Shane Black is an excellent filmmaker.
He's in the first Predator.
That's right. He is just an excellent filmmaker. Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I mean, the dude's incredible. And I was so sure, Rob, that his Predator movie was going to bring life. It was going to resuscitate the Predator franchise. Wah, wah. Not so much. It was not good. And I had very little hope. And then Prey was coming. It's like, really? Like, what's somebody living in that era going to do against a Predator? You know what? Turns out a lot. And Prey was great. And I remember it came out of Prey, and I said, I think in my out of theater reaction to it, because I got lucky enough that I got to see it in theaters.
Yeah. And
I came out and said, without hesitation, this is the best Predator movie since the original. And maybe only the first good Predator movie since the original. But if Romulus can be to Aliens what Prey was to Predator, then we're in for something really good.
Well, you know what I think the problem with especially the Alien franchise is that the development has been all over the place. Like the development of Alien 3 was a cluster F. And I think Fede Alvarez had an idea for Romulus. He's like, I have an idea for an Alien movie, and this is what I think we need more of. And I think his Alien idea was probably pretty sound, which is why Fox went with it. The same way that I think it was Trachtenberg, who did Prey.
Yep.
He had an idea, and he has another idea for another Predator movie that they're going with. So I think that's what these franchises need, is capable filmmakers that have already proven themselves, and they're the ones, rather than being work for hire, that are getting to make these films, because then they give us things that live up to the potential of what we want these franchises to be. Because you know what, John? Everyone loves Alien. You go into these movies wanting to love them because Alien was earth-shatteringly groundbreaking, and Aliens, you figure, come on, there's no way. What did you do? You took the concept and you put a different spin on it, made it a war movie. It's a Vietnam allegory in a way, and unbelievable. And so Romulus looks to bring back that cosmic unknowability, that cosmic horror again, that you can't. The thing about the aliens are they're the scariest things in the universe. And you have to approach them that way. They're the most, you don't want them anywhere near you, no matter what, because they will destroy human life utterly. And this movie looks like it gets back to that.
By the way, one of our viewers, Joshua Gonzalez, pointed out another Predator film that I actually thought was pretty good, which was Academy Award winner for the piano, and he just played
Predators.
which is Predators.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Predators is pretty
Who's
good.
the guy who played Coach Riley in Winning Time?
Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
Adrian Brody. Yeah, the one with Adrian Brody. That was not a bad little film. I actually like that one.
Do you
but
know
I
that
thought
you
Prey
can get
was
a
still
hot
better.
toy of Adrian Brody from Predators if you
They
want?
licensed those?
And Lawrence Fishburne, too.
Really?
Or pardon me, yeah,
Not
Lawrence Fishburne. That's right. Lawrence Fishburne.
Was Lawrence Fishburne in Predators?
Yeah.
I really like that movie, and I don't even remember
It's
that.
good.
Anyway,
I
All
mean,
right.
if you wanted an Adrian Brody hot toy figure,
then that's what you got.
You
You know
can
what?
get
If I
one.
was going to get an Adrian Brody hot toy figure, I would get his Coach Riley one from Winning Time. If they did
well,
that
you
one,
could
I would
buy
get
you.
that.
That's what modifications are for.
That's
you
true.
Could get the and
That's
do
too
it.
much work.
All right. Hey, Gray Fox just gifted a John Campea membership. Thank you for that, Gray Fox. All right. What's next?
We got Duardo with a two-parter. They should make a millennial era version of It's a Wonderful Life where someone makes a birthday wish that they had never been born. Then a mental health journey ensues with positive vibes. Anyway, it's my birthday and I'm off to see Dune.
Nice.
Thank you all for existing in this space for us movie nerds, making our days a little bit better.
Well, first of all, happy birthday to you, my friend. May you have a glorious day and a glorious year ahead of you. You know what? It's a Wonderful Life. I still go back and watch that movie once in a while. It is just so timeless and so classic and so great. And a message that endures, I think, maybe seen as a little bit simplistic today with the way, you know, storytelling has got more complex and everything like that. But I love that movie dearly. I think it's just fantastic.
Back to Bedford Falls.
All right. What's next?
Jeez. Michael Brocky says, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan, but I knew I was done after the last movie, and it's a beautiful ending. Doesn't sound like I missed much. Don't kill the OGs.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, I was okay with them doing another one after Afterlife because, I mean, again, I thought Afterlife, not as good as the original, of course, but it was really fun and charming, and they had a nice balance, Rob, of nostalgia with the new and just making it its own movie, right? It never felt like just some big homage to the original Ghostbusters. It felt like its own movie while having a good amount of homage and some nostalgia in there, and it was a nice balance. The trailers for this one have just been, this is nothing but nostalgia. This is just all nostalgia porn and stuff like that, and they don't have Jason Reitman. Again, I have not seen the movie, so I cannot say that I think it's good or bad. I am just telling you I have not been excited about it because of what I've been seeing, but I hope it's good. We're going to see it tomorrow, and we'll let you know what we feel about
I never thought I'd long for the days of Janos Poha, but I guess I'm going to be longing for them today or this week.
Cut. All right, what's next?
How did you even remember his character's name? No, Brandon says Acolyte has the same format as Russian Doll, 8 half-hour episodes. Leslie Headland seems comfortable in this format.
Okay, and that's why I was saying, I forgot to mention that when we were bringing it up, and I said there have been shorter episode stuff that has worked.
Sure.
She being one of them. But it has not worked out great for Disney Plus with the way that they've done things. And so, am I saying that it is hopeless? Absolutely not. Am I concerned? Absolutely. But lost all hope? No, not at all. I am still going to go into the Acolyte, try to muster up some of that enthusiasm I've had for the last 3 or 4 years for it, and I'm going to take it on its own value. And hopefully it'll be one of those things where it really works. But right now, before seeing it, I am concerned that they're doing the same kind of pattern that they've done that has spectacularly not worked. So means this is not going to work? Not at all. There is some precedent that it can, but there's also a hell of a lot more precedent showing it not working. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
Inalo or Inal Zero. I love Shogun setting up something so meaningless as a dead bird could have devastating consequences later. It's amazing storytelling.
It's so
Oh no, not Dumb Pig.
so good.
Oh, poor Dumb Pig.
Shogun is so good. Like it was at first, it's this fun little throwaway line. Because he's got very, very broken Japanese, barely speaking English. If touch, die, right? And we laughed. We're watching it, and that line goes, ah ha ha. It actually cost somebody their life. And it's like the way they, oh my God, it's so good. Like I don't even know who the showrunner on this show is. I haven't even looked up who the showrunner is. But anything they do from now on, I'm on board. Like, it's just so...
It's so good.
Tatooine is so good.
Kind of like Show Nuff, the
It's
Shogun.
Show Nuff, and it's so good.
Who's the master
God,
now?
this show is so good, man. It's so good. All right, what's next?
Andy Fish Chips. Should the Academy create a profit and sustainability award, bang for your buck for the audience, and also bringing focus on the environment when in production?
No. Filmmaking is about excellence. The Academy Awards is supposed to be about excellence, period. That's it. And that's why I disagree with a lot of people on certain things. What the Academy Awards is supposed to be is a industry celebration of pure excellence in the art of filmmaking, period. That's it. And the individual disciplines that make them up. The moment you start making up these bullshit also ran categories like best blockbuster movie, best movie that did a good job with a little bit of money. No, these are all also ran participation awards. The Oscars should be and should continue and refocus itself strictly on what is the best. Who did the best job designing costumes this year? Who did the best job in cinematography this year? Who did the best job in directing this year? That's what it should be. As soon as you get beyond that, it becomes a slippery slope and it becomes the fucking MTV Movie Awards after that. And I just don't want it to be that. So that's just my take on it. Other people may disagree. And who knows, maybe you guys can make some good arguments and I'll have a different point of view in a couple of years. But right now, I don't think that's the direction they should go, dude. All right, what's next?
We got Harv's K, who says the main leads in Shogun all have been Emmy-worthy, but my favorite in Shogun just might be Fuji. Superb actress with a great character arc so far. She just might be the heart of the show.
Is that the girl who plays Mariko?
No.
Mariko?
No, Mariko. It's not her.
Is it the one that plays his concubine?
Yeah.
She's been great. Man, when she gives him the swords.
I love that.
Oh.
These are my father's.
And then you find out later the story behind the swords. It just makes it all more rich. Or when he gives her the guns. Or when she's freaking like they come to take his swords. You know, I don't think so. Like she pulls the guns. I'm like, I like this girl.
Yeah.
You're right. I have no idea who the actress' name is, but yeah, she's killing it, man. She's absolutely killing it. All right, what's next?
James Germain says, do you think Be Silent, Heed My Commands, and You Shall Survive? I forgot how Shakespearean Storm could be.
I'll tell you what. Like, again, I don't want to give any lines away. It just dropped this morning. Did it drop this morning or last night?
Midnight.
Midnight.
Oh, it
So
dropped
this
at
morning.
midnight. Okay, so it just dropped at midnight. So a lot of people haven't had the chance. If it dropped like last evening, then people would have had a chance. But you haven't had a chance to see it yet. I won't say too much, but Storm gets given her due. Let's just say that in the first couple episodes. Storm is treated with the reverence a character like Storm, who in the comics has basically evolved to become a god. I mean, really, she is elite level Omega. Like, she's not just Omega, she's like elite level Omega. And like she's treated as such in the show now. And it, like, yeah. And they're setting her up for some really cool story too. So I really like what I saw. All right, what's next?
Victor Acosta says, new Ghostbusters currently rotten with 73 reviews.
Yeah, the last I checked, it was 75 out of 45%. Again, which means that almost half the critics like it. Not quite. More than half don't like it, but kind of hoping for much better than that. All right, what's next?
Chubbs GPT says, any app you recommend to keep...
Chubbs GPT.
I'm sorry.
To keep track of your watch list for shows or movies across different streaming platforms. I'm just using a notepad and pen. How do you do it?
I am literally doing the same thing. Well, not a notepad and pen. I'm literally using notes to keep track of shows I'm watching. Because you know how many times it happens that I'm watching a show and then I'll forget about it for about 5 weeks. And then I'll be like, oh my God, I forgot to watch episode 6 and go back. I literally started keeping a note on my notepad app, just with that. That's all I use. Have you heard of any apps that help you do that?
No, and everyone keeps, I started Letterboxd when I was like, 5 years ago or something. I never use it. People are like, are you on Letterboxd? I'm like, the last thing I want to do talking on YouTube about movies all the time is to write about movies on my Letterboxd. So I'm like, hey, if you watch my show, watch our shows, you can figure out what we like.
All right, what's next?
All right. Victor Edbaum says, if the new Alien movie manages to exceed audience expectations, just like Prey did, do you think they'll try to make another Alien versus Predator? I hope not.
I don't think so.
Please don't.
I don't think so. I'm actually friends with the director of Alien vs. Predator. He's a buddy of mine. But I don't think so. Now, let me say this though. A couple more years of one or two more good Prey/Predator movies and a few more years of some good Alien movies, anything's possible after that. I mean, yeah, maybe at some point they decide, hey, listen, Predator was run into the ground, we revived it. Alien was run into the ground, we revived it. Maybe Alien versus Predator isn't as well loved as a lot of people think. Maybe it's time to give it another chance. Maybe, but Romulus won't be the catalyst to do that. I think we're still years away from it, but maybe in a few years they could. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
See, the problem that I have with the idea of Alien versus Predator is that they represent two very different kinds of things. I mean, aliens the alien creatures represent, again, to me, the unknowability of the cosmos. And when you have predators going after aliens can't defend against weapons. So there's not really an interesting story to be told there. So predators are really good hunters. I wouldn't imagine that en masse the predators would have, a problem with a bunch of aliens. It's only when there's like one put up against a bunch of aliens, and it's like you have to come up with some contrived reason for it. So I don't know if you can make a satisfying story out of it, although the very first Dark Horse comic that they did, the first Alien versus Predator comic is really good because there also was human settlers on this planet, and it worked out pretty well. So I'm not saying you can't do it, but I'm just not interested in it. I'm more interested in seeing how did predators fare with humans throughout the eras. Like in Prey, like you said, how's that going to work? It worked. That was interesting.
Now, I'll say this though, but aliens,
ninjas,
and predators,
samurai against predators. That's what I want to say.
That would be interesting. I would say this though, in an open football field of 20 predators versus 20 aliens, predators easily win.
Yeah,
easily.
Right.
But in catacombs, close confines, darkness, stuff like that, I'll give more of a shot to the aliens than I will.
Yeah, but the problem with the predators predators are intelligent beings with culture, and they have things, they have desires, they have hopes, they have dreams. There's got to be predator rock bands. We saw in Alien versus Predator Requiem, we saw that poor guy, that workaday predator. He's just at work, ding ding ding, problem at Earth. Poor guy had to leave and go take care of a problem. What about his wife?
Yep,
what about his predator kids?
Be in problem. By the way, I do want to mention, in talking about Alien versus Predator, I do got to say this. I've got a list of like some of my all-time favorite, funniest moments. There is a line that I still love to this day. They go down into the catacombs. They find the old pyramid. It's thousands of years old, and they open up and they find technology in it, right? And the guy's like, what's the big deal? And the line the other person says to him is like, it's like finding Moses's DVD collection. And I don't know why, but I remember when I heard that line in that movie, I laughed my ass off. There's also, I think in the same movie, they had the line, like, why do you have the gun? She goes, a gun's like a condom. You'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So a couple of great bangers in that one. A couple of really good ones. All right, what's next?
We got Sam Fisher. Besides a cavity and layman's existential fear of metaphysics, perfect. No
Great
notes.
Beast dialogue. Fantastic Beast dialogue in that. I love that line. All right, what's next?
We got Atomic, who says, watched Quiet on Set, new docuseries on Max about kids TV. All I can say is F. James Marsden wrote letter of support for a convicted pedophile, and that's sad.
I think, look, I'm not going to pretend that I know all the intricacies of all that kind of stuff. But you oversimplify it when you say he wrote a letter of support as if James Marsden supported what the guy did and all that kind of stuff. That's not the case. I remember, and I'm not going to name any names, but I remember there was somebody who got caught doing something a while ago. And I came out and said this. I said, look, I don't know. Oh, I just got invited to go see Monkey Man. Anyway, I don't know. This is what I said. I was not there. I have no knowledge about what this guy did or did not do. I said, all I can say is that in my experiences with this person have all been positive. Like, I can't speak to whether this person did or did not do the things they're accused of. I can only say that the limited experiences that I have had with this person were positive experiences. And that's all I can tell you, because those are facts. That's the facts. And I had people get mad at me. I had people get mad at me that I said, I don't know if this person did what they did or did not do. All I can tell you is that the things, my time with this person were generally positive. How dare you say good things about that person when you're supporting that person? I'm just telling you facts. I'm not condoning what did or did not happen. I'm not saying they did or didn't do it. I'm not saying even the things that, other things that were brought to light. I'm not saying I endorse those things. I'm only telling you what I do know. And that is that the few experiences I had with this person were positive. But that's all I can tell you. And I don't know about the intricacies of what was the nature of the relationship between this person and that person, and what was the full nature of what was it they were saying, supporting. But I do know that it becomes easy to boil it down to just saying, James Marsden supports this guy and what he did. Well, I doubt that's the case. I just think there's often more nuance to things than anything else. Again, and I don't know the situation, so I'm not going to pretend like I have the answers. I don't. But yeah, anyway, I just think people paint with a very broad brush sometimes. Anyway, all right, what's next?
We got Tony Lamar, who says, excuse me, was that a shot of a facehugger's rod? Talking about when it was coming out of the mouth.
Well, what do you think? We know from Alien that a facehugger does insert a tube all the way down and implants in your. Yeah. So indeed, that was a facehugger's.
It is the seed delivery system. Let's call it that way.
Yeah. The egg delivery system.
The seed delivery system.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. What's next?
So it would be the stem. Maybe the stem or the.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the word?
Got it.
All right. What's next?
Wow, John Marvel did Storm Justice Omega level.
They completely did Storm Justice in the first couple episodes, and I really like where she ends up after the second episode. Like, that's fascinating to me. So it's gonna be interesting to see where they go with that. All right, what's next?
Mr. I has a two-parter. Just finished watching the X-Men animated series ahead of X-Men 97. The Knuckle Draggers calling it woke obviously didn't watch the OG series. And continues, morph impersonators Jay Gray to seduce and lure Logan away. A married Logan and Storm variant faces racism in 1959. Intolerant Hicks can go to hell.
Again, look, we're not going to go into it too much. I'll just say this. What the original creator of the series said in response to some of the feigned outrage backlash X-Men 97 is given is like, did you not listen to anything we said when we made the original series? And that's kind of that. So, you know what? It is, people are going to be people. It is what it is.
Well, and allegorically, the X-Men have always stood for the outsider, the underrepresented, the people that didn't have a voice. I mean, it's always, even in X-Men, I think it's X-Men 2, one of the mother, I forget who, is it Iceman? I forget. She says, can't you just try not being a mutant? I mean, it's always been there, and in various levels. So that's one of the great things about that comic series. It was so representative for so many people, allegorically.
Yeah, and look, it again becomes this thing where the X-Men 97 is basically saying what not just the original animated series said, but to Rob's point, what the X-Men themselves as characters in comics have always stood for, which is the ideas of inclusion, diversity, accepting one another, not having to necessarily understand each other, to Magneto makes a speech about the whole idea about, listen, we don't have to have everything in common to together agree that we all share this planet together, and we all have to respect each other's ability to coexist and be here. And as we all work towards the same goal, we all want a brighter, happy future and blah, blah, blah. And that's what the X-Men have always been. That's what the whole message of it has always been. That's what the original animated series was. That's what X-Men 97 is. And I think there are going to be some people who get kind of uncomfortable when they realize that they're the bad guys in the X-Men
We're the future, Charles. Not them.
Not them.
All right, what's next?
Matan says, one suggestion for improving Disney and Marvel in particular: stop changing on the fly and plan in advance. This mindset is why the effects and use of the volume are lackluster, and tons of reshoots is leading things to suck.
Well, some might argue that reshoots make things better. I mean, look, ever since it used to be in Hollywood that whenever reshoots happened, this is pre-MCU, it was a red flag because reshoots are so expensive. And it was always a thing in Hollywood that even if a movie turned out bad, studios wouldn't do reshoots because it was just expensive. It was a nightmare to do, all that kind of stuff. Then Marvel comes along and they just make reshoots a regular part of what they do. Kevin Feige talks about, when we schedule our filming schedule, we in advance plan for reshoot schedules because we might come up with new ideas and we put the money aside for that. And it kind of changed all that. Then came along that Brad Pitt zombie film, which was called
World War Z.
World War Z. That's a real infamous one that apparently the movie was a complete disaster. And they reshot like 2/3 of it. Like completely reshot 2/3 of it. The end result was a pretty good movie. I don't think the greatest zombie movie, but a pretty good movie in World War Z. So planning doesn't seem to be the problem. The problem seems to be, aside from Lucasfilm, which has its own issues, that when Bob Chapek came in, we heard we talked about this yesterday, Rob, you weren't here, but the one Marvel executive says, look, I'll be frank with you. A mandate came down that we were supposed to create as much as we could, as fast as we could for Disney+. And he said, now we're not under that mandate anymore.
Right.
And that kind of threw a big wrench into things. It's going to take some years for us to see the results of them getting rid of that, make as much as you can, as fast as you can, mandate that they had. But I think they'll get there. All right. What's next?
We got AL who says, is it me or is it becoming a trend to kill off heroes in movies like a slasher film? Doctor Strange 2, Flash, even Madam Web to an extent.
I think it's something that's always been there. I think for a long time we've had that. And I'll tell you what, I think I welcome it. Look, when a significant character or hero or whatever dies, except for in the MCU, because there's no such thing as dying in the MCU, but it puts an emphasis on what's at stake. It puts an emphasis on consequences. Like I remember, even like Game of Thrones, like you fell in love with the character, good luck, because that character is probably going to die. But when characters like that die, I'll give an example. My beloved Opie in Sons of Anarchy. When a character like that dies, a character who's a central figure, a main character, what it does to you as an audience member is like, oh no. Like every time my guys in a show walk into a gunfight, they very well could die. Look, you watching a James Bond film and James Bond gets into a sticky situation, you never once for a second think they might die because you know James Bond isn't going to die. You watch some Heroes TV show and blah, blah, blah. Like you always know the main characters aren't going to die, so you never really feel the tension or what's at stake in a scene. But when you get shows like Game of Thrones, shows like Sons of Anarchy, things like that, where the protagonists can die and can die at any moment, for you, it makes you feel the tension and what's at stake of every single dangerous situation they get into. So don't do it every day. But Rob, I kind of like the idea of movies and shows having the balls to maybe kill off key characters. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I think that it depending on the kind of movie that you're doing, when you show a character or a superhero die, you ratchet up the peril. You ratchet up the danger. Like, oh my God, if that person's going to die, all bets are off. So I think there's a way to make that work effectively. But if it's part of an ongoing series, you know the character's not going to die unless you see No Time to Die, you know, where James Bond dies and at the end of the movie it says James Bond will return. What? I don't like you anymore. My favorite franchise for a long time. But no, I think, you know, killing characters to me can be cheap or it can be done well. It really just depends.
Yeah, just like anything else.
It's,
Yeah.
you know, that's the important thing.
I think guys in the chat or anyone in the chat that are saying like, well, Bond died at the end of one movie out of decades of never dying.
Not just at the end of one movie, at the end of Daniel Craig's final movie.
Right.
Yeah, that does not.
And that was the Daniel Craig run of James Bond is a microcosm. It's Bond's entire life.
Yeah.
It's his birth as a 00 and his death as a 00. It's kind of its own universe unto itself. So you reboot it and it's another iteration of the character.
Come on, spoilers. This movie's been out for a while.
It's been out for years.
Well, it's called No Time to Die.
All right,
like
what's
today.
next?
Chance with a $200.
What? Just as a tip? Thank you.
I'm gonna start investing in YouTube. This is great.
Chance.
I'm gonna start.
Wow. You guys are really supporting the show today. Thank you so much, man. This is incredibly generous of you, especially it's just as a tip, not even as with a question. Thank you so much, man.
And then King Tut, did you see the Marvel 1943 game trailer today?
Yes,
so
we did.
Okay, so
Three
here's
of
the
us
funny
did.
thing. I was late coming in today. The reason the show started late today was not because Ray or Rob were late. Notice it's never Jonathan. But because I was late today, because I didn't realize the X-Men 97 episodes dropped last night, so I decided I better watch them this morning, made me late coming in, that's why we started the show late today. So I come in and I'm running around trying to get ready to go, get the show. And Ray's like, hey, John, you see this new Captain America trailer? I'm like, Captain America trailer?
Yeah, because, you know, I've been here. I've been done, you know, with my work. I've been here.
Doing stuff? Yeah, I was here on time.
I was here too.
Yeah, this is the first time I think it came in where you were here before me.
All right, go ahead.
And I'm like, Captain America trailer? No, a game. It's a new game. It's a new game. I was like, no. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this.
Yeah. And then he spit on me. Which was it's a daily thing that he does.
Spit on me.
It's almost like, hey, just have a bucket ready. He's like, okay. Anyways, go ahead. Go on with your story. There.
He spit on me. Anyway, so I'm like, no, it's a video game trailer. Who cares? So I still have not seen it. But earlier, as the show was getting ready to start, I saw some people in the live chat actually talking about it. I'm like, oh, this must be good. And I heard Ray saying, this is so good. This is so good. So no, I have not seen it. But Ray Ora has.
I'm not going to say what my opinion is now.
You might get spat on.
No, it looks great. Like, the thing I'm questioning
It looks really good.
If you could actually play both sides. And
I have
if
a
there's
feeling yes.
If there's two stories, or is it you play Captain America for like 30 minutes and then you play Black Panthers? I hope it's like a thorough story for both guys.
Yeah, I think
because
I
I
think it
can't
is.
choose. I don't know who I would play first. To be
It
honest.
looked incredible.
Now, Michael Gonzalez in the live chat is saying that the trailer doesn't actually show any gameplay. Is that
No,
true?
that's true.
Oh, well, anybody can make a cinematic.
Yeah, but in a way, it kind of did. It
No,
kind
but
of
the
showed
story-
you a little bit of the style of what they're
All
going
right.
for. It looks like a spy sort of Splinter Cell sort of.
Yeah,
Sort of
and it's
thing.
cool. As I was watching, I'm like, oh, because at first I didn't catch on. I was like, looked over, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's not T'Challa, that's T'Chaka.
Yeah.
this is World War.
Ooh.
This is World War II. It's 1943.
Oh, that's why it's called 19. Okay.
Yeah, so they're in
All right,
Germany.
you know what? As soon as the show's done,
Yeah, watch it.
I will.
Watch it.
I'll give it a look. All right, what's next?
All right, on to our members here. Luis says, first time member here.
Oh,
So-
thank you. Good to have you
yeah,
here.
welcome. And then Mega Chris.
Mega Chris.
Hey, John, have you watched any of the new documentary that was just released called Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV? It looks very dark, but I imagine it gives an important message to viewers as to how corrupt Hollywood was back then.
I have not, but I do want to see it. You know,
I started it.
And
It's a hard watch because Nickelodeon was my thing. Like, that was a lot of people's thing when they got home. It's not a hard. It's so far for me. The first episode, it's kind of a hard watch because like that stuff was right in front of your face, and as a kid, you don't even see it. You don't even see some of the weirdness that actually, and then you see it again. You're like, whoa, they let that happen on TV. You know,
and
it's
this is
just-
on Max, right? This is
yeah,
on Max?
yeah.
One of the things, and this is going to sound very, very weird. One of the things that I appreciate about I mean, many things I don't, but one of the things I do appreciate about the Hollywood industry is that as an industry as a whole, it does not shy away from shining a spotlight on stuff that wasn't so great about the industry before. Like whether it's about the long-term racism in Hollywood or whether it's about stuff like this. One of the things I do appreciate about the industry is that it'll shine a spotlight on itself. Now, sometimes years later, but when it figures out that, oh yeah, the stuff our industry used to do, that was really messed up. Whether again, it was the racism or this stuff. So now I haven't seen the thing yet myself. I didn't even know it dropped yet. I heard it was coming, but I'll have to check that out at some point. All right. What's next?
We got Harry O'Bagel, who says, just got a subscription to Marvel Unlimited. I'm looking for suggestions.
Rob,
So-
you got any?
Is that comics?
Yeah,
yeah.
digital comics.
Okay, if you haven't read, I mean, it seems silly to say this because everyone's read it, but if you haven't read the Alex Ross, his big breakthrough comic, Marvels, you need to watch it. You need to read it. It's one of the great comics that Marvel ever put out. You don't need to read if you have a general knowledge of the MCU. It basically is a street level view from a human perspective of what it would mean to live in a universe where superheroes were real. What does it mean if you're a human being observing all this stuff from the ground level? It is an amazing breakthrough show or through series. Start with that, but then go back and read some of the great runs. Like read Frank Miller's Daredevil run with the Bullseye and Elektra and the Born Again storyline. Go back and read the Hulk, Peter David's Hulk run. Read John Byrne's Fantastic Four run. Read Walt Simonson's Thor run from the 80s. Read the Age of Apocalypse,
yeah,
and
Apocalypse.
read all of the spin-offs, the whole adventure, read all that stuff.
Read some of the early, like the first days of Excalibur.
Another
was
great.
really good.
Read the Long Shot miniseries. Read God Loves, Man Kills if that's on there. It's a Claremont graphic novel. Read the Bill Sienkiewicz, Doug Mensch Moon Knight run. Only 30 issues. You can polish it off in a sitting.
All right.
Oh yeah.
What's next?
Kayak says, it's kind of lame that regardless of the time frame, the technology in Star Wars always looks the same. It's as if progress has stopped in a galaxy far, far away.
I remember me and my friends would have these discussions about when you look today, right? I was literally driving in my car. A friend of mine was with me, and the car was driving itself, right? And while the car was driving itself, I thought I didn't hear the score of the Leaf game last night. And I'm sitting there in my car as the car is driving itself and saying, blah, blah, blah. What was the score of the Leafs game? And then across the thing comes the Leafs game. And my friend just said to me, like kind of giggled and said, could you imagine going back to when we were teenagers? When we were teenagers and seeing our self-driving car and just speaking into the air and having sports data brought to us and all that kinds of stuff. Okay, and that's just in the span of a couple of years.
Yeah. Aside from it not like levitating, it's Star Trek.
Yeah, that's just a couple of years. Now, I remember me and my friends were then talking about how, it's funny in the Star Wars prequels, this is like many years ago, talking about like the Star Wars prequels is like, there's like however many 30, 40 years between the events of the prequels and the traditional, the original trilogy. And like, not a lot changed. Not a lot changed in 30 years of technology that's that advanced and hasn't really changed that much. Same can be said of Star Trek too. Like Star Trek in many ways, it's like, we still have warp, but now we have warp 11
This
it's
goes to 11.
exponentially larger. But if you look at human history too, from thousands of years, we didn't have a lot of technological advancement.
Yeah, from like 1200 to 1800, like almost.
Yeah, I
nothing
mean, there
changed,
wasn't a
right?
lot going on. The Iron Age. I mean, we had swords. It took a while.
But now
for
that we do have technology advances so
exponentially
fast.
far. Yeah,
It's crazy. All right,
Yeah.
let's take a couple more. What's next?
All right. Akshay says, hey guys, do you think we'll see a younger Yoda in the Acolyte?
Well, younger Yoda is present in the High Republic era stories, so
How far back is this?
You know what? I think I heard the showrunner say there's one character from the High Republic series that you're going to see, but I don't think it's Yoda. So my guess is that we're not going to see Yoda in it. That's my guess. All right, what's next?
All right. We got Emmanuel. Emmanuel, did you take a look at the Beetlejuice first look?
I did not. I don't care about Beetlejuice, to be honest with you. This new one, I should say. I really don't care about it. Now, again, I didn't really care about Alien Romulus, and now I can't wait to see it. Maybe the first trailer will do the same. I saw a headline that said, first look at Michael Keaton in the new Beetlejuice. I honestly, I didn't bother to take a look at it because I don't care. But if the images are dropping, Rob.
Spoiler alert. It looks like Beetlejuice.
It looks like Beetlejuice.
I mean, I look at him like they should call it Beetlejuice Afterlife.
But if they're dropping pictures, trailer's got to be imminent. Imminent. Right?
Look, I loved seeing the interview with Michael Keaton when he talked about how much fun he had making that movie. Like there was a genuine twinkle in his eye when he said that.
Yeah, he loves playing that character.
Look, I mean, Beetlejuice, the fact that movie even has a sequel, I love that they've done that, because Beetlejuice was a crazy movie. You know, it was, to me, Beetlejuice was the first Tim Burton movie. You know, it came after Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but it was really, I mean, nobody but Tim Burton could have made that movie. No one.
No, it's true. It's a quintessential Tim Burton.
It is, and that was when he really arrived. You know, and I want Tim, because Tim Burton's been a bit hit and miss over the last 2 decades. I'd love to see him come back with a vengeance.
All right, let's take one more question today. What's next?
All right, this is about the Alien teaser. Brandon Collins says the Alien teaser is the perfect example of just enough. It does everything a teaser is designed to do. Take all my money.
Yep.
Yeah, now look, I have no doubt that, because the movie is still, what are we now? And we're in March,
Yeah.
April, May, June, July. The movie's still 5 months away. It's still 5 months away. I'm sure in the upcoming months, as a new trailer, like a full trailer drops, we'll get a sense of who are these people? What are they doing? How did they come into contact with what these aliens are?
Why is it called Romulus?
Why indeed is it called Romulus? And I don't think it has anything to do with Star Trek.
No.
But I think we will get that. That's fine. But for a teaser, it was a very effective teaser. Like just giving us, nobody knows what's going on in this trailer, but it's scary and it has that tone to it. It has that atmosphere. That is amazing. And so, yeah, really excited about that. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, whether you're our super chat people using the super chat feature, or you're our beloved YouTube channel member sending in questions that way. Because number one, you gave us great fun things to talk about. Number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow for the next installment of the John Campea Show podcast. In the meantime, I want to thank the people in the room with me. Ray Orr, of course.
See you tomorrow.
Hold still while I spit on you. Jonathan Boyko.
See ya. Whoa.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
All right.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.